Most of us know that something in our life needs to change. We recognize that our emotions are running the show. We know our patterns are costing us in relationships, at work, and how we see ourselves. So we decide to start. We go to therapy, read the books, try the mindset work, do some subconscious reprogramming, and at first, it feels really hopeful. We begin to actually believe that we can heal and transform our lives. But then something unexpected happens. All of a sudden, it starts to feel really overwhelming, complicated, heavy, like it's going to take forever to fix ourselves. And sometimes when we start the journey, we actually feel worse before we feel better. So we slow down, we lose steam, we eventually just quit, and we end up right back where we started, feeling stuck and repeating the same old patterns. And then we tell ourselves that maybe we're just too broken or we're not disciplined enough. But that's not actually the reason we quit. The real reason that people avoid healing is because no one taught them that in order to come back into wholeness and transform their lives, they have to feel safe in their body while they're doing it. And I can speak to this personally. Decades ago, I was in therapy and I was also in grad school learning to become a therapist. I knew the paradigms. I could explain distorted thinking. I even knew about attachment styles, but nothing was shifting on the pattern level. Talk therapy gave me insight into my childhood trauma and why I was the way I was. But that insight didn't change my nervous system or the fact that I was in a chronic state of dysregulation each and every day. And all these healing paradigms made healing feel really complicated. Like I needed to fix my childhood wounds, heal my attachments, work on my shadow parts, get better at setting boundaries, process trauma, reparent myself, regulate my nervous system, and reprogram my subconscious mind. It felt like I was climbing a mountain with 14 different maps. And this is why so many people stop. It feels incredibly complicated and unattainable. It just feels like too much. But here's what no one was talking about decades ago that's become far more prevalent today. You cannot actually change your programming on a subconscious level if your body does not feel safe. And all those cognitive models wanted me to change my thinking and my beliefs. But my body was braced, hypervigilant, on high alert, always waiting for the other shoe to drop. And since my system was in such a chronic state of fight, flight, or freeze, those new beliefs felt like a threat, and growth felt completely unsafe. And so my body resisted. Every time I would try to change certain patterns or thoughts or beliefs in my life, there would be a lot of resistance showing up for me. And then my mind would start telling old disempowered stories that healing is not meant for me. And then I would interpret the resistance as me having failed. But that wasn't actually resistance to growth. That was my body trying to protect me. And that's why healing and transformation can feel so overwhelming, because your body and your nervous system are interpreting it as threat. So no matter how much we want to change, how much we want to shift certain patterns in our lives, our nervous systems prefer familiar pain to unfamiliar safety. It causes us to go back to what is known and what is familiar. And this is the part that so many people miss. It's not that you can't heal and transform. It's that your body and your nervous system don't feel safe enough to do it. And that is why we have to regulate first before we can actually reprogram our subconscious beliefs and our thinking. Just the other day, I found my old notebooks from when I was going through my first evolution of healing. And it was staggering to see, when I looked back, all the things I had written down that I needed to fix about myself. And this list looked massive. But what I noticed was that underneath it all came back to one primary skill set: slowing down, becoming aware, learning to stay with myself, and learning how to regulate my nervous system. That was the foundation. And for me, that meant something very specific, because in childhood, I never felt safe in my own body. So I lived almost entirely in my head, always analyzing, always overthinking. And so I had to work relentlessly to learn how to come out of my mental energy and ground back down into my body, to learn to feel safe in my body, noticing sensations, not bracing, not immediately reacting to things. And that's the real work. That's where everything begins, in the body, in the nervous system. And here's an even deeper layer to healing. We do so much work uncovering and getting to know ourselves on a very deep and intimate level. But once we do that, healing actually requires that we say goodbye to the old identity, the old version of ourselves. But not from a place of self-rejection or self-disgust. And not from a place of desperation, but from a place of kindness, curiosity, and unconditional love. And that's why we really avoid doing the healing, because we know that we're going to feel discomfort and that we're going to have to face emotions that we have been trying to outrun our entire lives. That we learn to invite those emotions in instead of trying to cope, numb, or escape. We have to learn to release our protective mechanisms and patterns and stop bracing, stop the hypervigilance, the constant need to be on high alert. But those are the very protective parts that have been helping keep us alive. So we can't bully them away. We have to know and understand them so that you can build enough safety to actually soften. And most people don't avoid the healing work because they think it's going to be hard. Most people know there's going to be some level of discomfort involved, but because it feels unsafe and overwhelming without regulation. And unfortunately, healing is not a one-time event. We don't just do the healing work and never have to revisit. Because healing is actually much like fitness in the way that if you consistently go to the gym, you build strength. But if you stop in 6 months, you will lose those gains. Regulation is the same. Awareness is the same. The more we flex those muscles through repetition and practice, the stronger that they get. So you don't actually ever arrive at a healing place. You just continue to practice. You're able to see your patterns more clearly. You're able in the moment to not be reactive, but instead to be responsive. You're able to create space. You're able to show up and start responding differently. You tell a new, more empowered story. That's it. Healing isn't a mountain of 14 different frameworks. It's actually about building a secure and loving relationship with yourself. And it has to become a lifestyle, not just a season. That's the work. So if you've ever found yourself starting a healing and transformation journey only to end up stopping or quitting, I want you to know you didn't quit because you're lazy, and you didn't stop because you're incapable. You stopped because your body and your nervous system got overwhelmed. The danger signal got triggered. And because no one ever taught you how to actually feel safe in your body while you were on a healing and transformation journey. That's what's been missing. Because transforming isn't about pushing harder. It's about building capacity. It's about learning to stay with yourself when everything inside of you wants to numb, cope, or escape. And that skill changes everything. Because once you understand both of these pieces about insight and regulation, the path becomes so much more simple and clear. But this is not something you can rush. And we're not forcing transformation. We're building safety and capacity. We're building awareness. We're building a relationship with ourselves that can actually hold the life we say we want. Take good care of yourselves, everybody. I will catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.